Here we are in Santander. We were taking off at about 11 in the morning, me and Jeremy. I took off a little bit earlier than Jeremy and head south to extend my out and return, or that was my plan at least, and just kind of trying to work a bit higher. Didn't really work, so once Jeremy took off, I joined with him in the similar thermal, and he head off first, so I followed him. Now this is a good thing to know about Santander. This first mountain that if you go north, you will follow the ridge. It usually keeps you up pretty well, and you don't need to really turn here. It's kind of perpendicular into wind, and just keeps you up really nicely. You have a valley wind coming in on here, and then the winds around here. If you look at the bigger picture, you can imagine how the wind would move around here. So we just kept going forward. I usually want to get some height here to cross, because there's a little power line here and on this mountain, so I don't really want to cross too low, but the power line follows the mountain, so you can always go a little bit away from the mountain and then back to the mountain to not to hit the power line. So we did a little searching, didn't work out, so we just kept going forward till we got a nice climb. This was really nice because we did it together. Flew up to the as far as we thought it's enough, which was about 1800, bit higher. Here was the first thing, but I saw that Jeremy did different to me. There could be a few reasons for this. You can see here that his glide ratio is not as good as mine, and we were on similar wings, both flying high D wings. And I think the reason for this could be that he didn't use speed bar, or didn't use speed bar enough to push through, and might be that his glider control wasn't as well, because we left about the same time, so the air was the same. And the reason he's getting that sink is because you have this wind coming from here on this valley, hits this mountain, and it kind of washes over here and then goes farther away in the next valley. Also, it comes here from the south, and it creates the sort of it's basically a small lee side of this hill. So this area tends to be sinky. I knew that, so I accelerated. You can see even in my line here that where I push the speed bar, as the glide ratio leveled out, is basically I just start going faster through the sink, so I spend less time in the sink, and that gives you a bit better performance. And here you see Jeremy is leveling out the sink, and that's mainly because he got out through the rotary air and got in a smoother air. And this next mountain is kind of the same as the first one here. You don't really need to turn. I mean, I do turn there sometimes if I get a good thermal, but if it's just a little zeros or ones, I tend to just go straight to don't waste time, basically. Now, Jeremy tried to find something, nothing, and kept following me. As you can see, I did a few turns here, a few turns there, just to check if the lift was strong enough. It wasn't, so I went forward, and Jeremy caught up because he didn't do that. And that's the nice benefit of following somebody, is that you can really see the air ahead of you, and you don't waste your time turning because you don't need to. You saw that the other guy in front of you didn't get anything, so why would you? Continued. So this is our second crossing. It's a small crossing, but it's a similar tricky place here. It's hard to get thermal on this corner because it's kind of low above this valley. Altitude difference not so high, and the winds coming around is also washing you down a bit and pushing the thermals away, so it's not really really stable thermals here. Knowing that, I tried to go away from the mountain to look for the thermals that are in front on these little fields. And there's the the dark sand, which also is a good temperature, like a source for thermal temperature differences. As you can see, surrounding there's forest, and then the dark sand, so that's could be a trigger, and I'm kind of trying to look for it right above. Didn't really work here, but I got another one just off probably the field down here. Jeremy got some height of the hill and then tried to follow me, but and here it really, on this day specifically, it mattered to be a little bit higher, and if you had the altitude difference just for 50 to 100 meters, it really made a difference. And here's why. So see, I'm higher and I'm really close to the mountain. But it's like Jeremy's also hugging the mountain, so you can see the lines are about the same when it comes to closeness to the mountain, but Jeremy is a lot lower than me, and everything is harder to do when you're low to the ground instead of on top of the mountain. Jeremy's first real mistake is right here. This lift, he should have worked it more, tried harder, because it's usually lifty here. It's kind of a house thermal dynamic lift on this mountain, or the combination of two. And when you go up here, he could have joined me at the top if he would have worked it, and you can see he's kind of getting lift here, so I can see how he's like, yeah, it's not a problem, I'll just go like that. But then I was in front of him already sinking, and if I would be Jeremy, I would look at me, like look at the pilot ahead, and try to make a decision: should I stay in the lift here or should I push forward? Seeing that I'm sinking, I would have stayed and tried to use the lift better, which Jeremy didn't, and he got in the same sinky air as I did, but a lot lower, and just went too low and eventually couldn't cross this little col over here. I barely made it. Like, it was a massive sink, and the reason for the sink is just that the air is messy around this place, and the reason it's messy is all these valleys, and it kind of goes around and moves in. And if you're low, it's not really good. So if you stay at the higher level of the ridge, the air gets more smooth and more lift instead of the turbulent, messy air. Biggest mistake what I see here is that he didn't use the lift initially of the ridge and then got washed down. But here's a good decision. He's retrieving, going back, found the thermal, got up, and I mean, that's a beautiful thermal, pretty strong climb, and then he's pushing forward. But I would like him to, in this case, to go more straight to the mountain and try to connect to the top of it, seeing how it was sinky before and how much sink he's getting now as well. Not sure why he didn't do it, but this time he crossed over pretty well, and then just kind of being again a bit lower and being pushed down. I'm not sure why he got such a different sink, because I'm going up here, as you can see the red line, but he's sinking down, so I'm not quite sure what happened here. Maybe he's not using speed bar as much, or using too much brakes instead of C riser control, or in this case B riser control. Can't say, because I'm not Jeremy. I would have stayed here and used this lift instead of pushing forward, because in this specific place air is messy. It's always messy here, especially when you're low, so you want to be staying high. You can see that my line was a lot more efficient, and I used the thermal lift here to gain that height before pushing forward, to make sure that I can cross over in this area of the mountain, because I know that the air is always messy there if you're low. And that was exactly what happened to Germany here. He's just getting pushed down, barely making it over, and scratching for survival, which is you really waste a lot of time when you do it like that. And in today's flight, really, it's kind of a blessing in disguise for Jeremy. I mean, I'm sure he was frustrated at this moment, couldn't really push forward, and I just left him behind. If you can see, like, I'm way ahead, because he got stuck and I'm just moving forward fast. Eventually he did get a climb out of here, like working hard, and this is north side at 12:30. That's really hard to get a good climb on the north side. So let's switch to my flight and go a little bit back to where we switched to Jeremy. So I just kind of followed the ridge, and I've been on this ridge before, so I didn't want to be low, and every time I had decent lift I used it, and here I really just kind of got dynamic up and I stayed on top of a ridge. So no need to turn here, it's all dynamic, and I just push forward, and till I got a little lift here. But I knew that this I call it little island, this little mountain here. It doesn't really work that well. It's kind of also the same that you have a valley of wind coming in here, and it kind of goes around. It's a bit messy here, messy air. So I worked up a bit as much as I could, and when I felt like it's safe, I jumped over to the mountain here because I knew that this is gonna work. And the reason for that to work is that you have this valley here, the riverbed, and it hits this mountain straight up, and the sun is there as well as it is southwest facing. I got a really nice climb, but mistake that I did here is that I left the climb too soon. It was going quite a bit higher than that, and I left it at 2,400 meters. I've been here before, but I always been here 2-3 hours later, because now it's 12:25 in the afternoon, and it's not yet working super consistently. Like the cycles are still far between, and the day is not as strong as it would be at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. So my mistake was here just pushing forward, even though I having a nice glide here, and then I start sinking as I get in a bit in the lee side of the mountain, kind of leveling out, but really it's not a good glide happening here. And like you can see, -5 meters a second, not really good. And what I should have done is stayed to this mountain here and try to find lift and climb up, or follow the ridge into the big boys and get lift off there, or at least try to connect to the smaller, but the smaller one, it's in a worse place because it's lower and it's behind all this mountains in front, so it wouldn't be all that nice. So my best option would be somewhere on this mountain range to divert from my course. But because I was flying on the memory that I've been here before, and that this mountain right here in front is gonna be working amazing because it's perpendicular to the valley of, you can see the riverbed, so the wind hits it perfectly, and then there's another valley that comes around there. Every single time I've been here before, it worked like a bullet thermal. You just get up super fast. And this was the first time when that didn't happen, and I was just scratching around really low in the gnarly air, and like I got a bit, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna make it, and then I lost it and ended up landing out in this little tiny place, which to say the least was really frustrating. Eventually Jeremy got a thermal up here. It's 12:48, and Jeremy just progressed nicely, so he made the better choice of the day, following the big mountains instead of straight line, which is a detour and you fly slower. But in this case, he got up. Even like this is the thermal that I was saying that I should have turned here and gotten up there, and see he arrived a lot higher at this mountain and just kind of a few turns and off he went. Eventually did really nice flight, Jeremy did, where I got stuck here down low. That's a story for another video.